Hello, League of Legends fans, and welcome back to another exciting week of APL. This week for you, we've got Esports taking on Dread Zone Gaming, Arcadia. I'm Elsa the Queen. This week, I'm super happy to be joined by Quacks. Welcome to the APL broadcast.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm really excited to see what both of these teams have in the tank for us this week. Esports Z against DZG Arcadia, and I think both of these teams have really cool players and really cool styles of league that they really enjoy playing. A lot of it seems to be revolving around, going in, trying to team fight. So looking forward to a bloody series here. I definitely expect a lot of blood to be spilled, a lot of fights to be taken, a lot of objectives to be taken or contested or maybe even stolen. So we'll have to see how that all goes. But yeah, I'm predicting a good series here, Elsa.
Yeah, absolutely. And, if there's anything that would indicate this being a bloody series like you're hoping for, Quacks, it would be that both of these teams, they're sitting at 1-1 here in the Shadow Isles division. So this is going to be a really important match as far as the playoff implications. We know that, only a limited number of teams, I believe 8 out of the 20, end up in those quarterfinals. So for both of these teams early on, this could be a match that has bigger implications in the standings down the road.
Yup, and already we can see teams firing away bans. We're barely even able to keep up. 6 bans eliminated just like that. I love to see it. Emilio, Zed, Tristana, Zaya, Azir, Kaisa, all banned away here from both of these teams. And I do like to see the Azir ban. This is a champion that I believe DZG Arcadia are incredibly well adept with. It's a champion that's been banned away from them basically all the time, and a lot of mages, I think, are going to be really heavily prioritized for these mid laners. And Con Esports are just going to slam the Rel, a champion that is incredibly well versed in the bot lane right now, really fits well with what they like to do. Both these supports really like to go and be aggressive, so I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we get something like a Rakan counter pick here, some other support who can sort of fight fire with fire. And right as I say that, we get a Ziggs Janna lock in here for DZG. Definitely a more defensive poke centric bot lane, but Janna is a very good counter against someone like Rel, who has to channel her slam down in order to get the stun off, and Janna can simply interrupt it with the tornado. So good counter pick there for DZG.
Yeah, and Janna, not something we see a ton of, I feel like, right now, but I actually, think that it's really strong whenever we do see it come out, and the Aphelios would complete the bot lane there if the Rel does go down. It looks like Viva does have a couple of games on that Rel already, so we would expect it to go into the support role. We have seen it also flex into the jungle in professional play as well, which could be why they were, so willing to first pick it, but we'll see what Con Esports wants to round out the rest of their second rotation here before we get into the next set of bans. And yeah, I mean, that Zig's also a possible flex as well, so I like how both teams are keeping things open here.
Yup, and right out of the gate, we see Khan electing to go for the Poppy. This is a Caxi. This is one of Caxi's most well-known picks. He's played it for years. Caxi is incredibly good at this champion, really good at facilitating his lanes to sort of be in that position to carry. This really is where he shines, I feel, as a player. So really looking forward to seeing him on that comfort pick, as I have not had the pleasure of casting Caxi for quite a long time. So it's good to see him back. It's good to cast one of his games, and DZG going to respond with that Maokai in the jungle, another very meta-centric champion, one that is incredibly good at sieging. I can really see it being difficult already for Khan to get into those dragon pits, get into those sort of choke points, to get into pits or get into objectives, neutral objectives, with the minefield plus the saplings, just constantly laying down so much damage and making it an absolute hellhole to get into. So I like where DZG is going with the zone control that they have so far.
Yeah, definitely indexing to it, a lot of disengage with that Maokai ultimate as well in the Janna. Kind of similar to like you were mentioning here, as we fly through the bans as well, both teams, you know, feeling really confident, I guess, in their decisions, a lot quicker than we normally see. But finally, we will definitely see some solo lane picks here. And it looks like Jace will be the first one here from Dreadzone, finding some AD for that mid lane because of that Ziggs in the bot.
Yup, and DZG going to elect to put the Jace here for this game. Jace is a really nice R4 because he can be both played top and mid. We've seen him be played mid in basically every major region there is. He does really well into certain matchups and scales really well with that man immune in tow. So Khan, very curious to see how they're going to respond here. Typically, they like to give their mid laner counter pick, I feel, because I feel that's where Khan really lies when it comes to their carry potential. And it's going to be the Gnar on R4, but I really am curious to see what Ryzini is going to opt for in this R5, because really I feel that's the damage from Khan is where it comes from, is going to be that mid lane. So
has played a couple of games as Syndra. That could be in blind pick, but instead it will be the Orianna. So different kind of mage, but does bring that range. So would do fine against the Jace. Does good in quite a few matchups, although I feel like Orianna isn't quite as popular as it has been in the past. She has received some incremental buffs though. So Dreadzone, I mean, we'll see if they end up flexing it. Like you said, this Jace could go in either lane.
Yeah, and I do like the Orianna Gnar combo. I think that Orianna has a lot of opportunities to get massive shockwaves off, in big team fights. Yup, Poppy, Rel, Orianna, and with that Aphelios just free hitting, there's a lot of opportunity, and I think DZG have to be really careful. And DZG actually going to put that Jace mid lane here, as we do see the R5 Jax pickup, which I like to see. I think Jax is really good at doing side lane things, right? You get 2 to 3 items and you just become a turret destroying machine. Gnar though is very good at answering these sort of hull breaker split push type champions, because you don't necessarily need the Gnar in the team fight right away. You build up the Fury and then you teleport to a team fight. So when Gnar is little, I feel that's when it gets really hard to siege against a champion like that. So I like what both teams are sort of looking for here, the poke from DZG and the all-in here from Khan. Definitely contrasting those two styles, and we'll really have to see which team can pull ahead in execution.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel like it's kind of a cliche, right? But like we love to say it, but it really does come down to the execution. Excuse me. And it will come down to that in this first game between Khan Esports and Dreadzone Gaming Arcadia. And, you know, yeah, I mean, like you said, Quacks, the poke composition coming out here from Dreadzone, and then kind of rounding it out with that Jax for the split push. So, you know, I'll be interested to see kind of their movement around the map as we get into the mid to late game, because I feel like that's something that their team composition will be really dependent on, kind of manipulating those minion waves and putting Jax in situations where he can start to take down those turrets. So, I mean, you know, you mentioned that both of these teams have very distinct identities. Is there one team that you feel like got a big advantage in this draft at the end of the day?
At the end of the day, I think that in these leagues, really, it can come down to comfort most of the time. And Con, they're no stranger to a comp like this. They're no stranger to wanting to go in, get those dives, get those early plays, be aggressive, be bloody, be scrappy. So I think when it comes to comfort, I would probably give it to Con. I think DZG have drafted themselves a little bit more of a difficult comp to execute. So we'll have to see really how that turns out for them. But at the end of the day, I would honestly give it to Con Esports. Yeah.
All right, Con Esports. They've got the Wombo combo. It's just a question of will they be able to land it? And as we get through the picks and bans here, not really any big surprises. So I just wanted to take a moment before we get into the spectator delay to talk to you about our sponsor this split for Aegis LOL leagues, and it is Coachify GG. If you're sitting there at home thinking, you know, you just want to start your own small business coaching League of Legends, but you don't know how to do it, well, let me tell you how. Scroll down. Of course, you got it in full screen, but you're going to want to hit escape. Then you're going to want to scroll down to the banner below, Coachify GG. Check it out. They're in the open beta right now, so it's a great chance to join. They have all the infrastructure in place for you to be able to coach your students and, you know, have a great time doing it, make some money. Doesn't everybody like money? You know, I do. I do. Again, Coachify GG, check it out. We will be back in just a couple of minutes for game one, but we're going to go into a spectator delay. Don't go anywhere because we'll be right back. Hello, everybody, and we are back. We've got Con Esports Z on the blue side, taking on Dread Zone Gaming over on the red side. And one switch up here. I want to get a little bit of confirmation, Quacks. I guess I'll have to check. So Suki is in the bot lane, and Andicus is in the mid lane. Is this just a switch of the normal AD and bot laner, or is Andicus' sub coming in?
It looks like it is going, yeah, it looks like it is going to be a substitute here, which I guess is fine. You know, preparation for the game is a little bit messed up, but, you know, things happen, things change. So it is nice to see Andicus here in the mid lane. Very curious to see how Suki is going to adapt to that bot lane environment. You can already see sort of picking up a mage here for that bot lane to feel a little bit of semblance of home. You know, you can't be mid lane, but that doesn't mean you can't play a mid lane champion, as we see both junglers opting to start on the top side here, wanting to path down toward that bot lane. No surprise there. A lot of engage, a lot of setup for both junglers who themselves already have a lot of abilities to, you know, sort of follow up with ganks. Poppy is slightly faster on the clear, so we might see Caxi arrive there sooner, depending on how he sort of operates his clear. But for now, it seems like it's just going to be a sort of normal game, and I'm expecting both solo lanes to be relatively normal. Youngnut probably going to poke out Argo quite a little bit, but I think until 6, Argo doesn't really have a big chance to go aggressive. Does have that grasp in tow instead of something like a lethal tempo or a conquer to just sort of survive the lane, try not to take as much damage, and recall when he doesn't need to.
Yeah, and you can see early on is taking a little bit of damage from these trades, but not too bad as the wave pushes into the turret. And you know, you touched on the jungle pathing a little bit there earlier. Caxi on this Poppy, 2-0 so far, just this split in APL. So that is a pick that has been successful so far here in the one win that they were able to find for Con Esports Z. And so let's see if Caxi can protect that win rate at 100% so far in this game.
Yeah, an Angry Peasant. Ooh. Yeah, Youngnut was able to get a
this should
here, but Angry is going to cancel.
Angry Present is going to cancel the recall here, but it doesn't look like Jax is able to respond. Mentioned before, that wave was a big juicy one pushing into the turret, but it does set Youngnut back on the recall timer there. So I mean, I'll be curious to see if he has to burn the teleport as a result of that. Looks like he will just run back to lane though.
Yup, and because of that, Angry Present is forced to, you know, come to this crab a little bit late. You can see Invictus Rakan dropping that ward to protect his jungler's camps, but Caxi going to arrive to this crab. 5 camps in tow. So at the current moment, Caxi just kind of up in tempo here in this jungle. Curious to see if he'll be able to use any of that toward maybe lane ganking the bot lane or trying to look for something mid, or maybe he just opts to go for a double crab.
Yeah. For now, we'll just head on down to the Krogs, but we'll be on this bot side ready to respond if Maokai decides to try to make anything happen to this bot lane. And mean, in the champion select, you talked about it, Quacks, but for Con Esports Z, they really have this kind of scaling team fight composition with that, those Orianna combinations, but also with this Aphelios as the scaling carry. So in this early game, it's not too surprising to see them be okay with sitting back and, you know, not being too aggressive.
Yup, and I think for this mid game, you know, when this game starts to really explode to open up, I would like to see both junglers, specifically Angry Present, really focus up on that Herald. He has a Ziggs with him, so if he manages to get that Herald and put it bot lane, that's a completely dead turret. Or if that doesn't work, you can go top lane with it. Jax really likes to split, as we talked about in draft. So a lot of opportunities to get early plate gold by getting this Herald. So want to see that from him in this mid game, and curious to see how Con are sort of going to respond to that, because they have to know that Herald is important, especially when you have a Ziggs on the enemy team.
Yeah, definitely synergizing so well with that satchel. And we know it's kind of almost similar to a Caitlyn kind of effect, where you try to push the lane and then snowball off of that. So far in the bot lane, Suki and Invictus for Khan have been pretty far pushed forward, but they haven't actually managed to deal any damage to the turret. So they're going to have to work a little bit harder, I guess, towards that end if they want to really pressure it early. But like you said, that Herald in about 3 minutes, 2.5 minutes time will become a little bit more relevant. TP being used here by Ryzini to get back into this mid lane, and you know, pretty stock standard here so far early. Lots and lots of farming, and looking across the board here, not too many ultra impactful level 6s. Looking at particularly this Orianna, who did actually just ding level 6 with the shockwave, does add a little bit of CC, and then eventually for Viva the Magnet Storm as well, but that won't be for a couple more minutes, it looks like.
Yeah, and I do like that Viva opted to go for the Glacial Augment in this lane. You see a lot of Rels really enjoy that safer option of going Grasp of the... I'm sorry, not Grasp of the Undying. I'm blanking on...
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
give you more resistance when you do CC. Yeah,
yes,
I don't know.
Exactly.
You're not knowing it also deleted my brain, I've decided.
Yeah, but a lot of Rels enjoy taking that rather than the Glacial here, so that probably means that Viva is going to look for a lot more trades, look to be a lot more aggressive. You can see both junglers are hovering this bot lane. Crab did just spawn here for Present, so going to be around 10 to 15 seconds before he can really make a play, but Viva has that ward in the river to prevent a longer gank. Ultimate not yet available for this Maokai, so no big surprises. Caxi is around though. Might be looking to invade a little bit. Yeah.
Is going to hit that vision cone, but I don't actually think that the Maokai was spotted. Oh, it's Aftershock, right? Is it Aftershock?
Yes, it is Aftershock. It is Aftershock.
I just had to, we gotta make things, you know, we're professional casters here, quote unquote. So we're casters with some professionalism. But yeah, I guess both junglers, they just end up at the end of the day, you know, we got a little bit excited, but not too excited. But both junglers do end up just backing off here. 400 gold lead over to the side of Con Esports Z so far. So they you know, a little bit of an advantage, but it's not actually anything that's, you know, super meaningful. Some of it could be around back timers and things like that, but this Herald is going to come up in a moment, and it does look like Rel has come up onto the top side, so they are definitely looking to prioritize this for Con Esports, and they will have an additional member, it looks like, on the top side.
Yep, and Suki and Invictus for Khan, you know, in situations like this where you don't see the support, you know it might be topside, you could look for a dive, but Chibiri has both his sums up, and the dive potential from Janna and Ziggs early game really just isn't there, so I think Chibiri is just perfectly fine, you know, sort of sitting under his tower, farming alone, getting that solo gold, and you can see he's recalling. Waves are going to be in a neutral state, and it looks like Khan are just going to get this Herald for free.
Yeah, they are, and I mean, you know, it comes at the cost of a little bit of XP for Viva, but other than that, Janna just not providing that kind of engaged pressure to be able to, you know, make Chubby sweat at all. will be able to pick up this solo XP. So, you know, I mean, yeah, Viva misses out, but on the other side, Aphilio's picking up a little bit of extra, and it's you know, not necessarily a massive advantage at this point, Quacks, but it's a question of how useful will this Herald be when it's eventually dropped by Caxi.
Yeah, and you can see Present is waiting in the wings here, but there is a ping coming out from blue side. Might know that Maokai is there. Angry Present, you are not going to be able to gank this, my friend. Yeah, opts for the reset, and I respect that Angry Present is continuing to look for these opportunities, continuing to look for these ganks, but Caxi just continues to farm. Now has a 12 CS lead, 3 camps up on Present at 9.5 minutes. So Caxi on this Poppy really eating good so far, just knowing that he can't gank a lane, knowing to just power farm, and so far that's what he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, and actually, you might think that the farm, you know, it's just a Poppy, so how meaningful could it be? But it looks like he is going to go for that Divine Sunderer build here, having picked up the Sheen early on. So it is going to be more of an aggressive look from this Poppy here from Caxi. Again, 2-0 so far, 2 wins in their previous series that they won. I'll have to look back and see who that was against, but the dragon, still no dragon takes here, 10 minutes in, and you have to imagine that maybe eventually one of the teams might think about prioritizing that one, specifically maybe on the red side here if they can get the bot lane truly shoved in. Not sure.
I mean,
make that happen.
Aegis was sort of moving in the river there, so they could have maybe looked for that. They have mid prio, they have bot prio. Really, I feel like there is not much stopping them from looking for this dragon. I mean, Chiviti no longer has red-white available on Aphelios, and that's really the time you want to look out for when you're facing this champion. Has the white and the green currently, which is still a good combo, but not nearly as strong as the red-white. I mean, after all, there is a literal saying of red-white don't fight when you're facing Aphelios.
Yeah, I mean, and beyond that, teleport advantage from the top lane, or at the very least, Young Nut, the more team fight oriented top laner in this game, not able to join. But I mean, you know, with all that said, nothing being forced here from Dread Zone Gaming. They don't want to do that, I guess. And it's still, you know, 0-0, no kills, 300 gold advantage for the blue side here. So things, or 400 about, very similar. Argo, definitely doing a lot of damage here. Still has the ultimate available. So if Young Nut is not in the Mega Gnar, could be in a little bit of trouble. Both junglers too.
Yeah, you can see Caxi, he's running up here. Argo does have the flash, so could be looking for an aggressive play. Both junglers going to meet, you know, near this top lane tribe rush. How is this going to shake out? Yeah, Angry Present is going to meet Caxi in the bush. Remember, Caxi is holding on to that Rift Herald as well. Not sure exactly how much time is left on it, but at the end of the day, Quacks, what do you know? We're going to back off and have a stalemate. Yup, nothing going on so far. I do like that Caxi opted to bail on his top side and try and help his top laner out. I see so many junglers who are just like get into the rhythm of sort of power farming the entire time, and yeah, but Young Nut might be in trouble here. No, he has found Young Nut potentially, but does have the flash, but that one will be burned. So now maybe there could be a potential regank here, as Andicus is still present in this mid lane, not poked out, but the Rift Herald will be dropped by Caxi, trying to get this one to charge, and they're trying to use that pressure to come over and get this dragon. The bot lane was finally for once pushed forward by the likes of Chubby and Viva, and it looks like for now this one will go over uncontested. So the second objective of the game going to be taken by Con Esports Z, and for the second time as well, just no attempt to contest or really trade anything substantial on the other side for Dread Zone. Yeah, I mean, it is only a 300 gold lead for the side of Con, but it feels like they have so much more time on their hands to be able to do these objectives. The only thing that I really want to complain about is Ryzini did not stay in the lane to pick up the gold from the Herald charge, so that is just going to go solely into Caxi's pocket. Not sure that's where you want it to go solely. I feel like it really would have benefited the Orianna, who really likes those stalemate lanes, and so far it has been sort of a stalemate, getting that little extra amount of gold for themselves. But I digress. They get the dragon, so yeah, still Con is looking pretty good so far.
And I'm just waiting with, you know, bated breath here for our first actual team fight of the game. I feel like this is going to be one of those games where once the action happens, it's just going to explode. And I mean, I think that's good news for Khan Esports overall. They want to get into those team fights. We talked about, you know, the synergy between the abilities of multiple members of this team. I've always kind of felt like the Magnet Storm is almost like the support version of the Shockwave. So I really would like to see the Magnet Storm into the Shockwave. We could see it.
Oh,
Viva gonna jump in. And they're gonna whiff both. So we did see the Magnet Storm Shockwave, but I guess it's like the monkey's paw. You know, you got to be very specific about what you ask for. I just asked for for the combo. I didn't ask for it to hit anyone. So,
you know, it's kind of funny you say monkey's paw. That's literally my sort of saying on your Discord. If you look at where you can set your custom status, literally says
it's a great analogy.
Yeah, exactly. So it looks like they are going to take their anger out sort of on this Rift Herald, as doesn't look like there's going to be a contest again here from DZG. Chubity just continuously left in this bot lane. Viva looking for a lot of roams, but this Aphelios getting a lot of solo XP. You can see already has that Kraken Slayer, has had it for quite some time, plus the Berserker's Grief. So this Aphelios is going to start to get pretty far ahead once he hits, you know, his next item or maybe the item after that.
Yeah, and I mean, still just that 500 gold advantage, one dragon for Khan Esports. So, you know, 15 minutes in, it's meaningful, you know, it gives some stats, but we're not worried about any kind of quick, you know, early soul coming through from either side here. And, you know, with turret plating having fallen as well, you know, no turrets going down. Looking down into that bot lane, though, that turret is getting pretty low. And like we talked about with that Zig Satchel, could be something that they could potentially look to pressure soon here if, you know, if they can get the jungler down onto that side, or I don't know, make anything happen.
I mean,
I don't mean that against Dread Zone. I mostly mean just in this game. What is this, LCK? I don't.
It certainly feels like it at the moment, Elsa. But yeah, Angry Present, you can see skipping all of his camps. Even Andicus is sort of roaming down into the river to see if they can look for anything bot lane. But Chubity and Viva, they are recalling. So Suki and Invictus are going to have free reign over this next wave, and could very well see the turret being taken. You can see Razini is moving to try and defend, and Caxi is right behind him. So clearly they don't want the turret taken, but really all it takes is one button, and we might see a fight here. You can see everyone is sort of roaming down to this bot lane to try and contest or take this turret.
Yeah, we do have 4 members here down in this bot lane, and the Satchel will finish it off there. So they do move their members down. They did something. They take the turret. And it will almost give them their first gold lead of the game. It looks like a 100 gold advantage. Actually, it looks pretty close. Basically, the gold's basically even with that turret take. Mid lane, though, looks like Dread Zone trying to potentially pressure as these top laners are trading. Oh, flash forward. And there was just seconds left on the flash from Young Nut, not up from that earlier engagement, and Argo able to take advantage of it on Jax, and that's not going to be good news if you're Khan Esports, seeing this scaling top lane pick get the kill in the 1v1.
Yup, really good there from Argo. Young Nut being just a little too up on that play without flash. So yeah, going to result in our first blood of the series here, as Argo going to get the Demolish proc, may very well take the start, has the TP available, and the Dragon will be up here in a couple of seconds. I can't imagine that DZG are just going to let this one go. They have the top laner unlocked now, so they have a really good opportunity to possibly contest an objective. If there's any time to do it, now is the time, I think.
Yeah, Rift Herald was for the second time dropped into the mid lane here by Caxi. We'll see if they got it to charge. It looks like they did not, but now attention turns on to the Dragon, which I believe will go over to the side of Khan Esports, but it's a question of whether or not we'll see a fight afterwards, and for now the answer to that also seems to be no.
Yup. Khan are going to pick their second Dragon up here for the game, and it is going to be an Infernal Drake for this game, ladies and gentlemen. not one of my favorite souls. I think that Infernal Drake is good for the raw damage that it provides, but if we're talking about, you know, like ranking souls, I would say Infernal is kind of on the lower end. It's a nice dragon to have, but I do think its soul is pretty lackluster compared to the other ones.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would think it should just be Hextech Soul every game, personally, but it's just me.
I wish it was Mountain Soul every game. Mountain is so much fun to cast.
Basically, like the opposite. It's like that one just like makes the game go longer, and Hextech makes the game go so fast because there's the gates. Everybody's just back out of the map, so there's just constant action. But you know, everybody has their own taste. That's what the beauty of there being you know, multiple different souls, I guess.
Yep, and DZG finally ahead here in gold by about 1K.
Ooh, Shelby gonna get knocked up there.
Yeah, Dig's ultimate expired, so not gonna have that for a little bit. Maybe Khan look to get him for a fight, but Chibiti pretty low on this Aphelios, now going to be forced to recall. Khan have the top and mid turrets taken very, very low, but unfortunately they don't have a Ziggs to just drop a bomb and completely take the turret. So sieging against, you know, the wave clear and the sort of disengage that DZG have drafted for themselves is going to prove very difficult, I feel, for Khan as this game continues to go on, and DZG just utilizing their zone control with those minefields, with those, you know, saplings to continue furthering their lead slowly but surely.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great point that you make about those two turrets being down, because it seems like that's so critical to getting this composition going here from Dreadzone, as you can now start to see some of the logic here as they kind of choke out the map a little by little. You know, you can see the wards that they've been able to put down, or at least ward, in that red side jungle of their opponents, allowing Jax to take waves deeper into the opponent's side of the map. So, I mean, yeah, I think despite the sort of objectives conceded in the early game, we can see the method to the madness here from Dreadzone, just having that patience. They've taken some objectives of their own now in the turrets, and like you said, also sitting slightly ahead in the gold. So I mean, now, I mean, I'm excited to see this. You know, we're still waiting for that team fight eventually. I guess you want to make it happen, right? If you're Khan Esports at the very least.
And I also think taking those side lane turrets is advantageous for, you know, the zone control for future objectives, like we talked about, you know, in draft, getting those very narrow corridors that you have to enter in through to go to the pits, getting control of those by taking the turrets and being able to place minefields and saplings there so that the enemy team really has to walk through fire in order to get to the objective. Just soften them up before the fight, as Youngnut going to show himself. Caxi is in the area.
Oh, okay. Poppy is here, and it's going to be a 1 versus 2, but it's a mega Gnar, and Argo does have the flash to get over the wall. Will be able to pop the blast plant to get away, and it looks like for now, Jax will be safe. It is a 1-4-0 summoner trade. As Invictus Rakan going to be taking so much damage here. Ryzini on the line here in this Orianna, 2 items already completed, as the flash wave from Youngnut already going to be used here. Argo, will he be in Q range? Looks like the answer to that is no, but now we are going to see Suki in putting the satchel down on the turret in the mid lane. It's the 3rd turret of the game taken by Dreadzone Gaming, 3-0 in the turret take count, and they continue to expand their control of the map.
Yep, and Dragon spawning in 40 seconds here, but I think a really important sum that was burned, camera wasn't on it, but the Mega Inferno bomb from Suki did burn the flash from Chubiti, so not going to have that critical summoner spell for an immobile ADC. Pretty difficult, I feel, for Khan to go for this objective when their, you know, primary carry is flashless. Of course, he does have that Gale Force to maybe close some distance, but usually you want to use that for more aggressive plays to either execute someone who's low or maybe get into a choke point. But yeah, Chivity not going to have access to that vital summoner spell on the Aphelios, so you can see both teams, they are in this area. TP is available for Youngnut, but not for Argo. But do you really want to leave this Jax alone for, you know, this dragon? He could very well easily take this turret, as people looking for something potentially.
Yeah, and I mean, looks like for now they will take that risk. Meganar will expire eventually, but Young Nut feeling confident enough to clear that wave under the turret. Teleport coming in here from the Ziggs into the mid lane, but it will be Khan Esports putting themselves on the soul point. Ooh, assuming that this does not come out through as a steal, and it will not. So nice smite by Caxi means that they still do have that win condition sort of on the table. The scaling element is everything here for Khan Esports. They want to find that wombo combo. They want to find that soul. And Caxi is going to be caught out for the moment. Does have the flash to get over the wall, but Aegis wants to follow with his own flash. Maybe questions his actions then. And the aftermath is Argo so close to getting the kill, but Caxi able to knock him out of there with the Keeper's Verdict, and the Baron is on the table here with the jungler pushed out of the situation. It looks like Dread Zone Gaming want to pressure this. Young Nats, though, he has gone into the Mega Gnar, and he's going to whiff the Gnar. Wanted to find something, but not able to get forward, did not have the flash, and now he's in the middle of everyone as Viva's going to get in. The Magnet Storm hits 4 members, but what can you do as just as the support? He'll go down. On the other side, it's Argo the Radis keeping 4 members busy, but they will drop the Jax eventually. And at the end of the day, it's a 1-for-1. No Baron on the table anymore now that both junglers are back alive. And it looks like both teams will probably look to reset. Mid lane could be under pressure, though.
Yeah, I mean, you can see Chubity, he is pushing in that wave, and the mid turret is pretty low. Looks like he is going to get that first turret, you know, taken here for Khan Esports. Really critical of them to start getting these outer turrets taken. We're 25.5 minutes into the game, and I do like that he focused on that instead of maybe recalling or looking for something else. So yeah, critical objective taken here for Khan Esports, but really over aggressive there, I feel, from Argo to just go in 1v4. Had the evasion completely expired, and past that point wasn't really able to do much and just got bursted down. And on the other side, Viva sort of making the same mistake, going in with that Magnet Storm, hit all of them like you said, but just didn't have any follow-up. Both teams being kept busy by one member of the opposing team.
Yeah, I mean, and it's one of those plays where you see it in your eyes if you're Viva, but you know, the rest of the team just otherwise occupied and not able to make it happen. But even with that said and done, it is, you know, like we said, just that 1-for-1. So it's not like it's going to blow the whole game open or anything like that. Khan Esports, they should be able to keep calm here, know that they're very much in the game. You know, the thing about these sort of wombo combo, I mean, I'm kind of overusing that, but you know, these ultimate dependent, let's say, compositions, is the beauty of it is you don't need to hit it every time, right? You know, you only need a couple of good fights, and you can theoretically sort of break the game wide open.
Yeah, I mean, Khan looking to try and clear out vision and get vision of their own on that top river, but it is really well guarded, and you never know when you might run into a Maokai sapling. Speaking of Maokai,
True.
Does have that Radiant Virtue in tow, has the Mythic unlocked. So I do like to see the Radiant Virtue here for Angry President. I feel like it gives him a lot more room and ability to go in, maybe look for those backline W's, having that heal available to himself. But I'm a little bit worried about what it does for the team, because like we said in draft, this really is a poke comp through and through. Suki and Aegis dealing so much damage just from the backline, and for the most part, DZG, they don't really want to go in. So the Radiant Virtue heal, I feel, not going to get quite as much effectiveness as it possibly could. But I feel with Maokai, there aren't a lot of other great alternatives, which is a little bit unfortunate. God bless the Mythic rework. But yeah, you know, a Mythic is a Mythic. Nice to see it complete from Angry President.
Yeah, tanks they could be in a better place, let's say, right now. But I mean, meanwhile, vision being cleared out around this Baron. One ward will sneakily remain. I guess not sneakily, they just weren't able to get back there. Will remain, but it's going to be blacked out by the pick ward. But oh, Suki's going to get caught up in the walls. It's a great pick here from Caxi. Awesome vision to be able to spot out that Ziggs and catch him against the wall when they're not expecting it. Looking at the objectives timer here, 35 seconds, so Ziggs will be alive, but does have teleport, but will not be able to be immediately present at the start of this dragon. So could be a possible soul advantage taken here by Con Esports.
Yep.
We'll have to see if they're able to set up. They do have control of the vision here so far entering the river.
And Suki has to be beating himself up for that one. Failed the satchel charge, but hold on. Speaking of failing.
Yeah, Viva. Where was the 4-member Magnet Storm there? Not able to grab it for the moment, but it's just zoning Magnet Storm, obviously.
That's 2 ultimates, critical ultimates burned from Con. They have to try and burst this down or they're going to be in deep trouble here.
Yes, here comes the cavalry as Meganar is here, but not going to get much value out of this ultimate. And now it's Argo into the back line of the enemy team. But look at this. Ultimate from the Aphelios is going to be huge, but do they have anything to back it up? There's so much beefiness here between Argo and Aegis into the back line. They're going to take out Chubbity along with everybody else other than Ryzini, who will run for the hills. And it is going to be the first dragon of the game taken by Dreadzone Gaming. They're going to also turn it into a Baron, and for once it looks like one of these teams has a substantial advantage, and it's Dreadzone all the way.
I mean, I gotta know what Dreadzone we're thinking.
Ryzini is going to be under the turret here, is going to be able to find that 1v1. Shockwave conveniently back off cooldown due to the fact that it was misused earlier. And that is one silver lining here if you are Con Esports, who were looking really good there early in the game, finding those objectives. Even just a moment ago, finding that pick onto Ziggs, but in that fight, it just did not go well for them.
Yeah, and a very slow Baron take here from DZG will net them a very critical objective. And really good from Aegis here. Has 4 kills now on that Jace. Manamune complete, so has that scaling advantage and is now looking for his 4th item. So this Jace, nothing to scoff over, is going to start dealing a lot of damage. Already has actually been dealing a lot of damage, but really Con just blundering that fight. They had the ultimates available. They had the river under control with the wave state, but just tried to look for a pick, tried to rush it, and at the end of the day, that proves to be their downfall. As yeah, they missed out on Soul. Now DZG are in control of this game with around a 4K gold lead, and really it's up to them to try and look for a pick, try and look for something to, you know, swing the game back into their favor here.
Coming into this game, you talked about how really the big damage here from Con, it does tend to come from the mid lane from Ryzini, and as we can see in that attempted dive by Argo, but he just did not have the shockwave available for the team fight, and really was not able to get into a position to, you know, land that damage onto multiple members, which is I think kind of the issue that Orianna has, maybe why we don't see it that often. But we'll wait to see if, you know, somebody can position that ball for Ryzini, if Caxi can find an angle maybe to get into that back line, or Young Nut, because that could really change the scope of these fights. I mean, the Jace and the Ziggs obviously quite squishy. If they can land some of that damage in CC.
Argo with the classic split push tactic, ignore everything, continue to hit the turret, as he will get that inner turret in the top lane for this Jax. Really big for him, but I feel like now this is where a lot of split pushers tend to struggle, right? You don't have any turrets to continue taking outside of the base and bot lane. You don't have any to continue to take outside of, you know, in the top lane. And there is only one in the mid lane. And I mean, you're not really split pushing if you're pushing down in the mid lane. So what is Argo going to do on this Jax now is the big question. This is where I see a lot of split push, you know, lovers tend to fail, but it looks like he has that answer, as he's going to TP and make sure they can get the second tower.
He's got an answer right now, which is just join in with the team. Gonna help to keep that minion alive with the teleport. Now gonna get blocked actually from jumping out. Excellent play there by the Poppy, able to prevent the leap with her W, and so all of a sudden Argo is going to go down, so it will be a 4v5 here for the next 45 seconds. Young Nats trying to find some kind of angle, but does not have the flash, so is not going to be able to do so. But that should be the end of the Baron pressure. As soon as it started, it seems to end already. Nice heads up play there from Caxi.
I mean, Argo walking way too far forward in that exchange, trying to get some damage off on the turret, trying to get that demolish proc, but really just was not respecting Con. Maybe he thought his team would back him up under the turret, or he wouldn't get bursted down nearly as fast as he did, but huge miss from Argo there, as yeah, they're going to pick up their 4th kill of the game. The 3rd one, mind you, for Ryzini, as this dragon around 40 seconds away from spawning. Khan still on soul point here, but DZG, really, they have to continue to look to contest all of these dragons just to prevent the soul.
Yeah, that is kind of one interesting bit of map pressure that Khan do hold, is, like you said, not really a good option, I guess, at least here, from Dread Zone to neglect the dragons. They will be forced to come over here. Nothing else though on the map really available for Khan to take, so they will try to look for some kind of fight over this infernal dragon, or maybe they'll just try to push mid. I guess I could be wrong.
I mean, this is actually pretty smart here from Khan. They acknowledge that, you know, it is only a 2nd dragon. They can say, you know, maybe we can take the next one. We have a little bit of wiggle room around that objectives, and if we lose, then it could be really detrimental to us. So I do like this play here coming from Khan. Now rotating to the top lane, trying to get just any kind of, you know, control around this top jungle that they can set up for this Baron, so that they can place deeper wards, because this Baron, this big purple worm that we all know and love, is going to be up in around a minute 20. So they are going to push out the mid and top waves. I like this a lot from Khan. Good moves from them.
Yeah, I mean, it is, you know, it's not super flashy. It's not the, you know, crazy steal or the, you know, super sick team fight, but it is stabilizing, keeping them in this game. It is less than a 3,000 gold lead. So when all said and done, you know, definitely winnable here overall. As
Two control wards in that pixel brush, Elsa, by the way.
Yeah, look at all. Yeah, and we got a lot of control wards in the inventory as well too here for Caxi, as LS dies once again. You know, soul.
Yeah.
But anyways, here 30 seconds is the next objective, which is the Baron Nashor going to be spawning up. And so, yeah, both teams utilizing, you know, some of those pink wards, some of these sweepers, keeping vision control, which is something that I've been impressed with both teams, but especially actually Dread Zone Gaming did a nice job of controlling vision so far in this one. Has been a big, you know, reason for their success so far. So it's kind of like on a knife's edge. I feel like it's only a matter of time until somebody looks for an engage here.
Yeah, and I mean, this is really where DZG Comps thrives. This is what we were talking about in draft here, Elsa. You know, getting those tiny choke points available, you know, placing minefields, placing saplings to be able to make it really difficult for Khan to walk in without suffering and taking a lot of damage. You can see Present just placing sapling after sapling, and they're definitely looking around here, and you can tell that Khan, they have to try and contest this, but it's getting progressively harder just as the saplings continue to pollute the brushes.
I mean, I do feel like for now, Dread Zone's doing a really nice job of spacing themselves out, making sure that they do not fall victim, you know, to a Magnet Storm, to a Shockwave, or a Gnar. But if they do start the Baron, then they put themselves in a very different position where they do actually become quite vulnerable to that. So I think that is something that seems like they are keeping in mind, but unfortunately kind of stops them from forcing that start. And whew, let me tell you, Ziggs, Orianna's kind of one of these champions too. That's champions that will draw a game out. Let me tell you, those are two of them.
Yep, and we can see DZG just trying to clear out any kind of last vision. They're dancing around this Baron. You can tell they really want it, but they're just kind of afraid to pull the trigger here. They know that if they pull the trigger, they're going to have to either turn or sort of commit. Suki going to auto him once, going to annoy the Nashor, and it's going to hit Angry Present once, but he does have that sort of green smite shield available to himself. As the crab available, this is going to be nice for Khan to get this vision for the remainder of the Scuttle Crab's, I don't want to say lifespan in the ground, but hold on.
He's found his own. It's going to be 3 members who get picked up by the Shockwave, but after that first bit of damage, there's still so much health available on the side. Argo going to TV back into the backline. He has flashed on to the enemy. Ryzini, though, going to go golden for the moment. Can the Gnar find anybody? It's just going to be a stun onto the Anarchist, but there's not any follow-up available as Argo once again going to be keeping so many members busy into the backline. and this Jace, or sorry, Jax, taking so long to go down and eventually still going to be alive. And at the end of the day, it's going to be Dread Zone Gaming. They don't need to finish off the kills because they're more interested in the objectives, and they're going to back off onto this Baron. Taxi's still alive, but only about maybe 15% HP.
Argo's on a ward.
Miracle to steal. Argo, Viva trying to interrupt and maybe try to get this kill, but he doesn't have any damage, and Jax has the sustain with that grasp of the undying. But it will delay the Baron because Invictus Rakan also came over to try to assist. So Baron will not be taken. We will probably see yet another square dance around that Nasher as both teams backing off. But in that particular engagement, it is Dread Zone coming out the victors as far as the gold.
Yeah, and I mean, Viva, because of that miscalculation, will not be up for the next dragon. If DZG choose to start it immediately after it spawns, they can very well just take it without Viva noticing. But Khan actually electing to go for this will be seen by the blue ward. Pink's coming out from DZG. I'm not sure they can do this.
Okay, we are going to see the Mega Inferno Bomb coming out early as Caxi is going to be able to knock out the enemy jungler, and they will be able to finish it. And now Argo not able to jump on to the enemy team, and they're just going to get away with a free Baron, and it's just Poppy things knocking away the enemy jungler, and it's Khan Esports. They will lose this dragon, but once again taking advantage of that pressure that they automatically have on the map because of the fact that they were on the soul point. Both teams will now be on soul point, but it's the Baron in the hands of Khan Esports. It'll be their turn to try to siege some of these turrets if they can make their way up there.
And that's 3 Infernal Drakes now here for DZG. That's plus 5 attack damage or ability power per dragon. So that's 15 plus. So it's not the most in the world, but it will help, you know, with targets maybe potentially being like 1 HP. And, you know, just finishing them off with that extra little bit of damage. But yeah, I want to go back sort of to that fight near the blue side blue buff. Argo keeping 3 members busy, just completely zoning DZG, or not DZG, Khan out from helping the engage from that Gnar from Viva. And at the end of the day, yeah, that is just going to really continue with this Jax, as now he has officially picked up that Zhonya's Hourglass. So going to continue to just zone them away, and when he gets low at the last second, going to pop that Zhonya's, going to go golden, as you like to say, Elsa, and just a lot more plays I foresee in these next couple of fights.
Yeah, I mean, we waited, you know, the good things come to those who wait is something they say, I guess, and it seems to be true. So far this game, 41-minute banger so far, and it's not even over. Quacks, last week we went to 3 games. I believe the last game was like, I mean, maybe Wookie can remember, but it was like, I mean, it was like 50 minutes basically. And guess what? There was Ziggs in that game, believe it or not. But
seems like the kryptonite of APL.
I think I'm trying to remember, like, I feel like I'm trying to, like, I remember like in like I want to say like maybe like 2015, there was like a meta of like Ziggs, Xerath, mid lane, kind of like, anyways, I don't remember what season that is, but all I remember is that every professional game would go like 50 minutes long, and you know, for a while it's kind of like, oh my goodness, it's a 50-minute game, and then it's like, it's a 50-minute game. But we're not quite there yet. It's just the first game of the series, so we're just increasing the hype here as we count down. Still about 3 minutes on either objective, so you know, not going to be any huge impetus for a fight unless one team or the other catches somebody out in some kind of pick.
Yeah, I would imagine that both teams are sort of going to bide their time, going to stall for these next couple of objectives spawning. I am, however, very curious because the Baron and the Dragon, now the soul, the guaranteed soul, whoever gets this next one will get access to that Infernal Soul. Really, I feel whoever wins that fight is going to, you know, get the Baron, and from there, it's going to be a very difficult game for the opposing team, having to go against an Infernal Dragon Soul, having to go against a Baron buff. So this next fight, I personally think is going to determine the game unless the opposing team can somehow stall out for an Elder. But then again, that is kind of the strength of both of these teams in this game one, is sort of stalling out, biding your time until a fight needs to happen, which I like to see, as Caxi Just trying to avoid the alien saplings. Just, he doesn't want to get hit, but they're everywhere, man.
Yeah, I mean, it has been pretty annoying so far this game. I want to highlight Chubbity on this Aphelios. Got the GA completed. Full build for this late game scaling hyper carry, and has been kind of left in the dust, I guess, in earlier team fights, just because Viva on this rel really using the abilities more for the engage. But you know, if left to his own devices, which is not going to happen. I got too excited. I mean, this Aphelios does have the propensity to basically 1v9 in these fights if he can get the right setup. So he's got 450 CS here. Can he make it worth one fight to determine it?
Yeah, I mean, Present going to get a little bit of damage on there. Honestly, I felt like Ryzini might have been able to shockwave that. Angry Present was isolated just slightly from the rest of his team, and maybe could have looked for a play onto that Maokai, but smartly, they just don't want to burn any sums, burn any cooldowns that they might need for that eventual soul fight. So again, just going to bide their time, going to wait until it's, you know, maximizing that efficiency on those cooldowns. So yeah, but right now it looks like Khan have control of this river, but we'll really have to see how DZG respond to this mid wave, trying to get Prio there. As you can see, Argo, he is moving down, might have a flank opportunity in mind for this upcoming dragon.
Yeah, definitely looking for some kind of flank, as Young Nats also does have Meganar available right now, TPing into this brush, and it is a pink ward, so they're not going to know that he's here as Argo is into the back line. But will the team be able to come follow up, as the Jax gonna be singled out, gonna be taken down, as an excellent TP from Young Nats is gonna zone the rest of the team from Dreadzone Gaming. And now it is the Infernal Soul on the table for either team. Viva channeling the Hex Slash is gonna go over, going to land the Wombo combo, but again, there's no follow-up, and it's going to be the round falling down. So now, top laner for support, the trade is 1-for-1, and it's actually Dreadzone Gaming who retain complete control over the pit. They retain complete control over the Infernal Soul, 4 Infernal Dragons, and it looks like Khan Esports wants to trade back the Baron. Will they be able to take it down fast enough?
Yeah, I mean, that is the question. Baron down to Bert, going down really fast. Actually, the answer to your question, Elsa, is absolutely freaking yes, as they trade the soul for the Baron. No! Aegis with the kill.
Gonna snipe out Ryzini there at the last moment. I mean, I guess we should have known. I just spent, you know, a long time pointing out all the items on this Aphelios, so should be able to take down a Baron.
Yeah, I mean, that is going to be 4 Infernal Dragons and an Infernal Soul for the side of DZG. So a lot of extra damage coming out from Aegis, coming out from Suki. Argo, though, really looking for these flanks, really looking for these opportunities to get behind the team and just try and start a fight. But every time it just seems like he's away from his team. His team does not have the distance to cover, does not have the time to cover the space between him and them and the fight that Argo has instigated. So this Jax, I respect that he's looking for it, but really it just feels like half the time it doesn't work, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you know, yeah, like you said, half the time, right? Because there's been instances where he's been able to isolate a member on the other side of the fight, but you know, in that case, it was just the true 1v5. So, not anything being not anything being traded by the rest of his team, but. I mean, still live to die another day, I guess, as it's still here 47 minutes into the game. The gold lead just about 1.5k. Really close between both of these teams, who both have just one win so far this split. But Taxi gonna get tornadoed. Nice job there from the Jana with the disengage.
I mean, does gold lead really matter at a point like this? We're 48 minutes
not at all.
Game,
it really doesn't. But I feel like it just goes to show how close it's been all game long, right? Because sometimes it gets to this point and it's like, yeah, you know, the gold doesn't matter because everybody has all the items.
Oh no!
All of that, as we're going to see the scuffed engage here. Caxi and Young not able to land onto Aegis, and now Argo into the fray, able to jump onto the back line. And this time, the team is here as Aegis is going to go legendary. But Chubbity, look at the protection he's got for now, going to get the first kill of the game onto this Jace. And now the Moonlight Vigil will land onto multiple enemies. Argo going to be taken down. It's a double kill from Chubbity, and there's also Ryzini in the back line still alive. It's a triple kill from Aphelios. It's a quadra kill, and they're going to run it down mid lane. 48 minutes in, it's going to be Khan Esports biding their time and taking the Nexus. Eventually.
Red, white, don't fight. How many times do we have to say it before everyone gets the message? Chubbity laying down so much pain, so much damage onto DZG, and it doesn't matter that you have 4 Infernal Dragons. You didn't respect the Aphelios, and you get punished.
Nah. I feel like the excitement at the end of that game is comparable to the lack of excitement. You know, if you could compare a lot of something to a lack of something at the beginning of that game, but thrilling as I'm in the darkness. It was so thrilling that it made everything go dark. But that's just game one, everybody. As we see Khan Esports taking the W here, going up 1-0. But we will have more for you when we go back into game two. I think everybody probably needs to take a breath here. So we'll take a break.
Yep.
We'll be back for game two draft in just a couple minutes. Hello, everyone, and we are back after a thrilling game one here between Con Esports Z and Dread Zone Gaming Arcadia and Quacks. I don't know, what is there to say? That was just an absolute banger game one. I don't know how the rest of the series could measure up. We'll see.
I mean, we were predicting a pretty bloody game, Elsa, in game one, and that proved to basically be the complete opposite of what happened. Both teams played a very elongated game of chess, it felt like. They waited a lot for their opportunities, didn't take fights that they thought maybe they couldn't win. A lot of it really was just teams biding their time, waiting for other ways, and just sort of avoiding each other until there basically was nothing left to do except fight. And, you know, the game ended after one fell ace for the side of Con Esports, who eventually exploded that necklace. But here in game two, we can see that we have a swap of the sides. DZG Arcadia are on the blue side this time, and Con are on the red side. So automatically we can see some differences in the ban phase, that Zig's going to be taken away, not going to be present in this game too, but the Azir going to remain persistent all the while, and DZG also adapting with a little bit of their own, thinking, man, that Aphelios red-white really screwed us up in the last fight. Let's ban it away. So I like to see these adjustments from both teams.
Yeah, I can understand banning away the Ziggs. I think especially with we got to remember here Suki coming in as a sub. I mean, Suki's not the sub. Aegis coming in as a sub, who actually did really well, for a sub, I would say, on that Jace in game one. But just to be able to limit kind of those mid laner oriented options in the bot lane would probably be a big deal. Tristana kind of falling into that same camp as well. But we'll see here for Dread Zone what they want to prioritize now that they're on the blue side. They took away that Aphelios. It's kind of interesting to me because I feel like they just didn't I don't know if it was Aphelios in particular that seems like it was the problem, but it will be that Rel. Either team, doesn't matter which team is on the blue side, Rel gonna be the first pick either way.
Yeah, I mean, so much priority is put on this role. Both junglers have very similar styles. Not junglers, both supports, have very similar styles of play. They both like to go in, they both like to go aggressive. And speaking of aggressive picks, we have the Kai'Sa hover here. This is probably the best ADC in the entire game, so do like to see that being picked up for the side of Con Esports. Now, keep in mind, we are on 13-15, which means that those Kai'Sa nerfs have come